Welcome back, everyone. Let's just dive straight into today's explainer, because we are setting off on a really fascinating visual journey. We're going to explore exactly how we navigate high-level structures, especially those incredibly fast ones generated by AI, without, totally burning out. Because let's face it, in an era where our tools can instantly build massive scaffolding for any project we have, a really huge question pops up. How do we actually own those structures, rather than just getting completely flattened by the speed of it all? Well, today we're unpacking the architecture of mastery.
So I want you to ask yourself honestly right now, does your daily workflow feel like this chaotic horizontal struggle just to survive the demands of your day? Or does it actually feel like a vertical ascent, a sense of meaningful freedom? You see, when we rely on all these advanced tools, it is remarkably easy to let the pressure of just producing more completely hijack our behavior. But surviving a workflow, that is very, very different from actually mastering it.
All right, let's jump into Section 1, the illusion of pressure. To really understand mastery, we first need to look at this massive divide in how we approach our work. Let's look at external pressure first. Pressure literally forces behavior. It's this constant external demand shouting in your ear, keep up, be faster, do more. And under that pressure, mistakes, well, they feel like giant threats. But then we have authentic control. Authentic control isn't about forcing anything at all. It's about shaping your capability from the inside out. Its main question isn't how fast can I possibly go, but rather, what can I truly, deeply own? When you have authentic control, mistakes aren't threats anymore. They are absolutely vital pieces of diagnostic information right there at your learning edge.
And you can literally see this exact dynamic playing out in the geometry of how we work. The constant demand of pressure creates this intense inward compression. It's like a heavy weight pushing down on you from all sides. But when you actively choose to own the structure of your work, when you exercise that authentic control, you actually expand the system from the inside out. It clears out all this cognitive space. You aren't being compressed into a tiny box anymore. You're navigating a clean, breathable architecture.
Moving right along to Section 2, false fluency and returning to the structure.
Now here's where things get tricky. When we use tools like AI to relieve some of that external pressure we just talked about, we often stumble straight into a hidden trap. Think about it. When you get this incredibly fast, beautifully polished text generated for you, the output appears complete, right? You've got the answer in your hands. But if you just accept that generated structure without embedding any of your own meaning into it, you get hit with what we call logic blindness. Because you didn't build the scaffold yourself, you become almost too afraid to revise your own work. It's like having the water, but no cup to actually hold it in. Truly owning the logic means you keep the capacity to explain it, revise it, and continue the work entirely on your own.
Which brings us to this absolutely crucial takeaway. Practice succeeds when meaning makes us return, not when pressure forces us to continue. I'll say that again because it's that important. Meaning is the ultimate antidote to that false fluency. It completely shifts our mindset from anxiously just surviving the notes in this state of constant panicked repair to voluntarily shaping the music. When a practice actually matters to you, you willfully choose to stay with the structure long enough to internalize its logic.
So let's explore that further in Section 3, the edge of capacity. If we are returning to a structure with meaning, we have to ask, where does genuine human practice actually begin? Will you find that boundary when a structure feels beyond me, but not alien to me? That phrase is so powerful. It's the signal of diagnostic resonance, the absolute sweet spot. You might not have been able to build the entire logic perfectly from scratch, but the second you see it, you recognize its underlying truth. It's just difficult enough to spark real growth, but close enough to what you know to remain deeply meaningful.
Think of it like a spectrum. On one far end, you have the stuff that is already completely owned by you. It's easy. On the opposite end, you have total alien overload. Content so complex, it just washes right over your head. But right there in the middle, that is your edge of capacity. And this edge is definitely not a failure state, even if it feels tough. It is the honest, genuine learning point. Authentic control begins exactly at this boundary because it's the exact place where you can grow without completely overflowing your cognitive limits.
Which leads perfectly into Section 4, filtering for vertical lift.
Once we actually find that edge and start practicing with real meaning, our cognitive energy does this incredible thing. It undergoes a kinetic pivot. Normally, that horizontal struggle we talked about, the daily noise, the confusion, the constant need to fix things, it's completely overwhelming. But authentic control steps in, acting like a really calm geometric filter. It stabilizes all those technical defects and your scattered attention. Because you're no longer burning all your mental energy fighting off uncontrolled variables, your cognitive energy pivots and points straight up. Control stops being this restricting, heavy force and becomes a beautiful, stabilizing filter.
And that upward trajectory, that is what we call vertical lift. Look what happens when we free up that cognitive energy. We instantly elevate into higher-order meaning. We finally have the mental breathing room for genuine human judgment, for sharp strategic focus, and for our own unique expression. We aren't implementing control to become mechanical robots here. We're stabilizing the noise specifically to protect our human capacity to find the signal. Reliability is not a cage, folks. It is literally the launchpad required for meaningful freedom.
All right, Section 5, the Metacognitive Ownership Audit. Let's get practical.
Having all these conceptual frameworks is amazing, but we need a real practical test to make sure this ownership is actually happening in our daily lives. Enter the Metacognitive Ownership Audit. It's just 3 calm, precise checks. Number 1, explain. Can you explain the main logic of your project in your own words right now? Number 2, revise. Can you change one part of it meaningfully without breaking the entire system? And number 3, the big one, detach. If your external tools or your AI assistants were suddenly just wiped away, could you continue the work yourself? Listen, if you can't pass this audit, you're just a passenger riding in borrowed logic. But if you can, you have successfully converted that external structure into true, lasting human capability.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 6, Ownership Without Possession.
As we wrap up this explainer, we really have to recognize the massive difference between anxiously clinging to a final output and the calm mastery of a living process. Possession is this anxious, white-knuckle grip. It demands this must be mine, and honestly, that's usually because it secretly fears losing an artifact it didn't actually earn. It's rigid, it's stressful. Ownership, on the other hand, is a state of calm coexistence. It just simply says, hey, I recognize this logic, I can return to it, I can revise it whenever I need to, and I can continue. Ownership is a spacious, breathable architecture. It doesn't need to force a single thing, because it knows, without a doubt, the true capability lives inside the human, not the machine.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful anchor to hold on to. Control is not forcing. Control is returning with meaning. Authentic control is the ultimate protector of human capability. It doesn't demand that you speed up and burn out. It asks you to find your edge, filter out the meaningless noise, and elevate your own human judgment. I really hope this explainer gives you a totally new lens to look at the structures in your own life. Are you just forcing your work right now, or are you returning to it with genuine meaning? Keep exploring your edge, and we will see you in the next explainer.